Imagine this. You're walking home at night, and out of nowhere, a black cat darts across your path. What's the first thing that pops into your head? For a huge chunk of the world, it's some version of, "Oh no, bad luck. Turn around. Take the long way home." That reaction isn't random. It's been passed down for centuries, across cultures and continents. Black cats have been branded as bad omens, witch companions, even literal harbingers of doom. But here's the thing that always bugged me. Why black cats specifically? Not orange tabbies, not calicos, not white cats. What is it about the color black that turned an entire species into a superstition magnet? In this video, we're digging into where this myth actually came from, why it stuck around for hundreds of years, and, this is the fun part, what science has to say about it. Let's start with something that surprises most people. The black cats are unlucky belief is not a universal thing, not even close. This superstition really took hold in medieval Western Europe, somewhere around the 13th century, when cats, especially black ones, got tangled up with witchcraft and the occult. The Catholic Church at the time issued decrees that indirectly linked cats to the devil, and from there, folklore did the rest. People believed witches could shapeshift into black cats, or that black cats were familiars, supernatural sidekicks that did a witch's bidding. Now put yourself in that world for a second. This was an era of unexplained plagues, failed harvests, mass starvation, and basically zero scientific understanding of cause and effect. When bad things kept happening and nobody could explain why, people needed something to blame. And a quiet, dark-colored animal that mostly comes out at night, perfect scapegoat. But here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Travel outside medieval Europe, and the story flips completely. In parts of England, sailors actually considered black cats good luck charms, and a woman who owned a black cat was believed to attract a good husband. In Japan, black cats are traditionally seen as bringers of fortune, especially for single women. In Scotland, a black cat showing up on your doorstep was said to mean prosperity was coming your way. So what we're actually looking at isn't some universal truth about black cats. It's a cultural product. A story shaped by history, collective fear, and coincidences that got turned into patterns by brains that are, frankly, wired to look for meaning everywhere, even where there isn't any. His is honestly my favorite part of the whole story, because the black cat myth is basically a textbook case study of a psychological phenomenon called apophenia, the tendency of the human brain to perceive patterns or connections in completely unrelated events. Here's how it plays out in real life. Say you spot a black cat on your way to work, and later that day your car gets a flat tire. Your brain, almost instantly and without your permission, tries to connect those two dots. Well, of course, there was that cat this morning. Never mind that flat tires happen because of nails, worn treads, or just bad luck in the literal, non-supernatural sense. But here's the part nobody talks about. On all the other days you saw a black cat and absolutely nothing bad happened, your brain doesn't flag that. It doesn't even register it as noteworthy. This is called confirmation bias. We're far more likely to remember the moments that confirm what we already believe and quietly forget the ones that don't. So it's not that the cat is unlucky, it's that your brain is running a heavily biased highlight reel, stitching together an emotionally satisfying story that has zero statistical backing. And there's actually an evolutionary reason we're built this way. Cognitive psychologists point out that early humans who were quick to spot patterns, even false ones, had a survival edge. If your ancestor heard rustling in the bushes and immediately assumed predator and ran, even if it turned out to just be wind, that's a minor waste of energy. but the ancestor who didn't assume danger and it turned out to actually be a predator. That's a fatal mistake. So evolution favored brains that over-detect patterns because being wrong and cautious beats being wrong and dead. The trade-off is that thousands of years later, that same wiring makes us susceptible to things like thinking a cat's fur color controls your fate. Now let's get into the actual science, because black fur in cats has a genuinely fascinating genetic backstory. And it turns out black cats are special, just not for supernatural reasons. Black coloring in cats comes from a pigment called eumelanin, and it's typically driven by mutations in genes like MC1R or ASIP. In the broader world of evolutionary biology, this kind of dark pigmentation is known as melanism. And recent genetics research has turned up something genuinely surprising. Studies on wild cat species found that the same genetic mutations responsible for black coloring are linked to the same genes involved in disease resistance, including resistance to certain viral infections. So instead of being a mark of misfortune, that black coat might actually be tied to a biological advantage in the immune system. Turns out the unlucky cat might have the stronger immune system in the room. There's also a purely physics-based explanation for why black cats seem extra spooky after dark. Black absorbs almost the entire visible light spectrum, which means it's much harder to make out a black cat's facial features at night compared to a lighter-colored cat. What you can see clearly, though, is a pair of glowing eyes, thanks to a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum, the same structure responsible for that classic eye shine you see when a flashlight hits a cat in the dark. Put those two things together, a nearly invisible silhouette and two eyes that suddenly light up out of nowhere, and you get a built-in jump scare effect. That's not dark magic, that's just how the human visual system reacts to high-contrast surprises in low light. So that little chill you get when a black cat appears out of the shadows? Totally explainable by neuroscience, not negative energy radiating off its fur. Time to get a little more serious for a second, because this superstition, as silly as it sounds, has real consequences, mostly for the cats themselves. Animal shelters across the US, UK, and other countries consistently report something called black cat syndrome, a well-documented pattern where black cats are significantly harder to get adopted compared to cats of any other color and tend to spend far longer in shelters before finding a home, if they find one at all. The reasons are a mix of factors. Superstition plays a role, sure, but there's also a practical problem. Black cats are notoriously difficult to photograph well, especially in the harsh, low-quality lighting a lot of shelters use. Their facial features and expressions tend to disappear into the darkness of their own fur in photos, which makes them look less adoptable online, even though obviously coat color has absolutely nothing to do with a cat's personality or health. It's a striking example of how a superstition born from fear and cognitive bias centuries ago is still having a measurable, real-world impact today, not on the humans who believe it, but on an animal that had literally no say in the matter. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why, in an age where you can fact-check almost anything in 10 seconds, does a superstition like this still hang around? The answer comes down to something researchers call cultural transmission. Myths like this don't usually spread through logical arguments. They spread through stories, family habits, and social repetition. If your grandmother half-jokingly said, "Don't go that way, a black cat just crossed," your brain files that away as worth being cautious about, especially if you heard some version of it repeatedly growing up. There's also a deeper psychological function at play. Superstitions like this give us a sense of control in an unpredictable world. When something bad happens, and we can't explain why, it's emotionally easier to blame something concrete, like a cat crossing our path, than to accept that life is genuinely full of random, uncontrollable events. So the myth doesn't survive because the evidence is strong. It survives because it satisfies a very human need to believe the world is patterned and predictable, even when reality is a lot messier than that. Let's pull this all together. Here's the science-backed rundown. 1. The black cats are bad luck belief isn't universal at all. It's a specific cultural artifact, and in plenty of other cultures, black cats are actually considered good luck. 2. Human brains are naturally wired to find patterns in random events, a trait that once helped us survive, but now makes us prone to believing things that have zero statistical basis. 3. Biologically, black fur is linked to genetic mutations that, in several documented cases, are actually associated with advantages like disease resistance, not misfortune. 4. That spooky feeling you get around black cats at night has a clean, well-understood explanation rooted in optics and human vision, not the supernatural. And 5. This myth has measurable, real-world consequences today, mainly in the form of black cats being harder to adopt purely because of their coat color. So if the question is, are black cats actually bad luck? The science is pretty unambiguous. There is zero credible evidence supporting that claim. What we're really looking at is a mix of cognitive bias, regional cultural history that happen to skew negative in some places, and some straightforward psychology around darkness and visual contrast. Remember that fact I promised you at the start? Here it is. Precisely because of this myth, a lot of shelters now run initiatives like Black Cat Appreciation campaigns, efforts specifically designed to break the stigma through education and better photography. Multiple shelters have reported significant spikes in black cat adoptions after running these campaigns, which honestly says a lot about how much of this is a marketing problem, not a cursed animal problem. So underneath all the folklore and spooky stories we grew up hearing, black cats are exactly like any other cat, full of personality, capable of being ridiculously loyal companions, and carrying absolutely zero bad energy. The only thing they're guaranteed to bring into your life is fur on every dark piece of clothing you own. If this video changed how you think about a myth you just accepted without question, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel keep making videos like this. And here's a question for the comments. What's another animal superstition you've always wondered about? Owls as death omens, spiders in the house meaning a visitor's coming, black butterflies signaling bad news. Drop your favorite one below, and I'll pick a few to break down scientifically in a future video. Subscribe if you want more science-backed myth debunks like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.